Long time no see, a green heat map. Coming up today, we got some big stocks making big moves and you can make big money off of it. We got Apple with a little bit of relief. Nvidia's earnings, a lot to talk about. I know we've been talking about it for the past couple of days, but we have a lot to cover, what to expect. And it's literally tonight after market close. SpaceX rocket fails to deploy and explodes. What does this mean for the stock? Probably nothing, honestly. We have some tariff revenue coming out showing the good sides of tariffs, but there are still bad sides of tariffs. The FOMC meeting, what to expect for this meeting at 2 p.m., 2 hours before market closes. We have a lot to talk about, guys. Let's get started with the stock that went up a decent amount, and that's NuScale Power Corporation. So basically, man, this stock went up 17%, and they're basically in the nuclear energy sector. And basically, Trump is signing orders and bills to basically get nuclear power into play, and honestly the regulations to be kind of shut down a little bit more and to get nuclear power used more. We've seen companies like Microsoft and other companies to power their data centers, but we need like maybe 2x or 3x the power that we have so far right now to get AI to its full power capacity. So this stock is going up, and we might even see it go up a little bit more. So keep this stock on your radar, and some other ones that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But Trump's advisor says that we don't want to harm Apple with iPhone tariffs. So this kind of brought a little bit of relief with Apple overall. And we've seen Apple come up like 2 to 3% yesterday, breaking that $200 level. And I'm very, very pumped to see where Apple goes. But they still see that 25% tariff on the imports. There's nothing really changed with that. So honestly, man, we got to see what happens with this tariff. Maybe we get a pause or maybe get it lowered. So we'll see, because honestly, if Apple does come to the US, iPhones will become $3,500 and the consumer will have to spend that money. And also, it's going to take 5 to 10 years anyway. So honestly, there's a lot to cover with this overall. Next is going to be Nvidia's Q1 earnings as Middle East dear. Next is going to be Nvidia Q1 earnings. So honestly, man, a lot of people are pumped up for this one. So Nvidia's earnings today, May 28th. This is going to be huge. Nvidia has been pumped up, man, a lot of revenue, quarter over quarter, making a bunch of money. Its guidance can keep the AI rally going or cool it off. Watch chip stocks like Broadcom and AMD and even Intel and just other chip stocks overall. Keep an eye on AI stocks and stocks that are related to Nvidia, like CoreWeave, just because they have money in the CoreWeave and some other ones like that. I think people are kind of pumped up to see the China numbers, especially when the H20 chips were banned. They did lose a decent amount of money. So there are concerns related to the semiconductor tariffs. So people want to hear a little bit more about tariffs, kind of like last earnings, honestly. But they are coming out with a new Blackwell chip that's going to be cheaper and maybe even more powerful than the H20 chip. But there are going to be regulations on it and stuff like that. But it is going to be for China use. And honestly, that can maybe bring up the stock price overall, even if they do lose revenue. If they explain the chip a little bit more, hype it up, pump it up. They do have the competition in China. So hopefully this chip is better than their chip and less expensive so they can make money. But honestly, man, they have 5.5 billion in charges related to the Trump administration ban of sales of the H20 chip. So this can affect the meeting after the earnings. With that being said, man, we have been pumping up quarter after quarter for Nvidia ever since AI came out, especially ChatGPT. That's when Nvidia went parabolic. We are seeing this pump slow down a little bit, so keep that in mind too, because if it's not pumped up too much, it might not pump the stock too much, and investors might be uncertain and or not as pumped up for Nvidia no more. But a lot of people are anticipating this. If you're anticipating this, like the whole market is really anticipating this. But we did get some great news yesterday, so it's not too bad. We did get SpaceX Starship rocket fails to deploy satellites and it explodes on re-entry. This isn't probably going to affect Tesla so much, Tesla stock so much. SpaceX is kind of separate and you can invest into it separately. There are some ETFs that have it in their portfolio, but honestly, not really seeing this succeed can maybe bring some regulations and stuff like that on SpaceX overall. But SpaceX does have a great company, great internet service, and honestly, when they get deployed to aircrafts, you can probably even get free Wi-Fi. It's just a bunch. And we also got Trump Media to raise 2.5 billion to buy Bitcoin. This is like the biggest ever, apparently. But with that being said, Trump Media did go down yesterday. We're going to be looking at it on the charts a little bit later, of course. But Basically, they want to get into cryptocurrency. And if you see Trump getting into Bitcoin, basically, it means Bitcoin's going to pump. And he's kind of getting into it in all-time highs, which is kind of insane. So keep that in mind. So the S&P NASDAQ futures hold steady with all eyes on Nvidia's earnings. I just wanted to kind of show you guys this one to show you guys all the hype behind the earnings. Trump tariff revenue has already topped 22 billion in May, and May hasn't even ended yet. But man, this is just showing the good sides of tariffs. I know consumers are going to be kind of spending a little bit more. We're going to see price hikes maybe in the future if we don't get no better deals. And that 10% minimum is higher than we had before. So of course, we're going to be feeling that pain. But at the same time, man, this is good if he uses his money for good, like, you know, maybe even some tax relief or something like that. But honestly, man, this is good news on tariffs. And also deals are going to be good news too. But overall, it's not going to be better than we had before. So keep that in mind overall. Elon Musk is returning to office. I feel like we get the same article, you know, week after week. But honestly, man, his sales has been weakening, especially in China. I think we got some Euro numbers. It's down 42%, even though the EV sector went up. So honestly, man, the stock is up a decent amount because of this news. It went up 6%, almost 7%. And basically, man, we're past that 350 level. So next level is probably going to be that 370 to that 380, and then even that 400 level next for Tesla, especially if we keep pumping. And honestly, man, maybe even 420 next. But honestly, just see it to the upside for now. But play it as the market opens. You know, everything could change. You can get some uncertainty and stuff like that, especially if we get trade talks coming back into play, like more negative news. You can probably see Tesla sell off. But for now, man, just join the rally. Don't ever trade against the market. So keep in mind today, basically 2 hours before market closes, we have a FOMC meeting. It's probably not going to be like a rate cut decision or anything like that. We do have investors eyeing them for clues on rate cuts, basically expectations for June 25th. Basis point cut are down to 2%. April durable good data could also nudge markets if it signals economic strength or weakness. So keep that in mind for today. So honestly, 2 p.m. in, you can maybe get yourself a little play at that time. I do recommend if you guys are getting some overnight plays, maybe wait until 3 p.m. to like 3:30 to get your overnight plays just to see how the market is moving after this. Because honestly, sometimes he can move the market and the market moves a long time. Next, we're going to talk about earnings. So this is the earnings calendar if you guys want to screenshot it. Of course, everybody's pumped up for Nvidia. Tomorrow, we have Foot Locker, Best Buy. You might get some consumer spending there, and also Costco after close. So those are the ones that I'm very, very pumped for. But honestly, Nvidia is the biggest one. If you want to take your trading to the next level, I have a course on how to trade options, teach you guys option strategies and how to become profitable. Because honestly, options is very hard to master, but this course will teach you everything that you guys need to know. With that being said, we snapped a 4-day losing streak. And honestly, man, we're looking pretty good with the heat map overall. Things that you want to keep an eye on for today is trade developments. Any updates on US, EU, or US China trade talks could swing markets. The EU's ready with countermeasures if tariffs hit. So stay alert for headlines overall. But EU also said that they want to speed up the process for some deals. Bond yields, the 10-year treasury has been volatile a lot and was at 4.5% yesterday, jumped to 4.6% today. If it keeps climbing, growth stocks like tech could take a hit because of this. Retail and consumer stocks, so with holiday shopping season heating up, keep tabs on retail names like Costco, Best Buy, Walmart. Tariff impacts and consumer spending data could also be key. Bitcoin and crypto. So basically, Bitcoin's at 111 right now, near record highs, boosting stocks like Coinbase. If crypto keeps surging, these could stay hot. So look at Coinbase, MSTR. We're going to be talking a little bit more about price levels a little bit later, but a pullback can be pretty bad and it can hurt your pockets. So SPY technicals. So SPY is at around 531.3 right now, testing its 200-day moving average as support. If it holds, the pullback could be healthy. If it breaks, watch for more downside. Also, keep in mind that you can still trade SPY and other tickers like that 15 minutes after market close. So you might be able to get the initial move for Nvidia's earnings if you want. It is still going to be risky, but you might be able to make some money 15 minutes after close when they announce the Nvidia's earnings. So keep that in mind. All right, so now we're going to talk about some price levels because we are above that 200-day moving average. We are above VWAP. We're looking pretty healthy on the MACD. So to the upside, look at 592. If we can break above that, look at 593.5, 595. If we break above that, man, we might even be able to test 600. We might, honestly, if Nvidia goes up and other chip stocks go up with it, we might see SPY break above that 600 and maybe even stay above it. Hopefully, man, if we do, man, you can see it maybe hold above the 600 to the downside. Look at 590 first. 590 is going to be a key level. Bounce off of it a few times. We bounce below that. Look at 588.5, 585, 583.5, and that 580 level to the downside for SPY. Next one is going to be Apple, because Apple, we did honestly get a little bit of relief, but honestly, we still got the tariffs. So to the upside, if we do start going up, look at 201.5, 202, and that 205 level. Honestly, I'm hoping on getting some good news with Apple with the tariffs, maybe getting them canceled and or paused and or maybe lowered. But worst case, we just get that 25% tariff and Apple just eats it because it's going to cost way more to move to the US. To the downside, look at 200. Past that 200, look at 198.5 and then 197.5. And then down below, look at 195. And then all the way down to that 190 level. And that's like worst case scenario for Apple. It's not going to move too much unless we get news, basically. So honestly, man, if we just naturally move, we might just move upwards and or downwards. So honestly, just wait for market opens for this one. This one is a patient play. Next one's going to be Nvidia. I don't even recommend day trading it, honestly. And earnings, it's kind of a gamble. It's a 50-50 at this point. People might sell off, people might buy. You never really know. People are pumping up Nvidia. I think the numbers are going to be are going to beat basically, but it's really just the meeting afterwards, the Chinese numbers, tariff numbers, stuff like that. So to the upside, 135.5 and then 136.5 and then 137 and then 140. If it can beat, we might even break above that 140 and maybe even hold above it, maybe see some new highs like recently. But to the downside, look at 135, 133.5, and then all the way down to that 132 and then 130 level to the downside. If we don't beat and we start going down, we might break below that 130 level and then honestly start trading at the 120s levels, maybe the high 120s though. So it's not going to be too bad. Next one I want to look at is Intel, because Intel has been making a decent move up and down. But honestly, man, we did kind of get some lows of that 19.6. So we might be able to break out of this, maybe get up to that 21.6. So honestly, man, just have your patience with Intel, watch news, and it's just a patient play. I don't recommend playing longs. I don't recommend playing shorts. Just watch how it goes. And maybe have some, maybe next day plays or something like that. But I think Intel is decent and it's looking pretty good right now, especially if we start breaking up even more, breaking levels like that 20.6 and that 20.9. And then if we break above that 21, we might be able to see 21.7 coming out soon. So I want to personally look at DJT. So we did get pumped up a little bit and then pumped up before market opened at $30, but then we started selling off quickly after that. So if you guys had some longs, rest in peace, honestly. We got to a low range and we were kind of trading at around that 23 to that 22.5. Honestly, man, we might be able to break upwards because we are at lows for the past couple of weeks. So honestly, man, I think we might be able to break up a little bit more, maybe even meet VWAP. So look at 24.5 to the upside. If we break above that, look at 25 flat and then 26.4 and then all the way up to the highs of 30. I don't think we'll break above that. The crypto hype is kind of hype, but it's not too hype because you got stocks like GameStop, Tesla, other stocks are basically buying into Bitcoin to hold and to like kind of show the revenue like that. The main stocks that I mainly look at for crypto is MSTR and Coinbase. And the only reason is because MSTR just has a shit ton of, it has a bunch of Bitcoin basically. And Coinbase also holds a big holding. Like you have to hold billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin to be able to move with Bitcoin. So keep that in mind. And they started buying early. If DJT started buying now, and unless Bitcoin hits some insane highs, then honestly, you probably won't see it move that much. And we're at that 108 range. We were at that 111 earlier, but honestly, it kind of just falls down, comes back, falls down. So honestly, a stock that I do recommend looking at is IBIT. And honestly, just wait for the Bitcoin pump again. And maybe we might even get 110. So honestly, 62.8 probably around estimated. So honestly, you can get that 80-cent move on IBIT if you guys play some options. And they're not even that expensive and you're not risking too much money. So honestly, I recommend watching how Bitcoin moves, especially in this range. We've been kind of just in this range up and down, 108 to that 110 level. And honestly, if we can break some new highs and you're into a long play with IBIT, you can make a decent amount of money. But just have your patience, because if Bitcoin gets a pullback and you're in a long, you're gonna hate you're gonna hate yourself, honestly. But with that being said, I do recommend trading IBIT just because it's way cheaper to get some option plays. You know, if we go over to MSTR, it's like over $2,000 for an in the money play, and that's for this week. Because if you want to trade MSTR and in the money plays, it's around $1,000, and that's for this week. And it's already Wednesday. I don't even recommend trading the same week past Wednesday. So let's go to the next week, and it's $1,600. And if we go to IBIT and we go to the next week, it's only $200 that you're risking. You're not really risking too much money. So honestly, I think IBIT is the way to go. But let's move on to Google, because Google has been itching upwards. They came out with some glasses, you know, competition with Apple, I guess. But honestly, I want to look more into the glasses, see how interesting they are, see when they come out and stuff like that. And they have been kind of coming back because they're bringing AI to their Google search and stuff like that. So honestly, Google search numbers has been falling. I personally, for a lot of research, I honestly use ChatGPT. AI is just so much better to get your answer on the go, and it explains it a little bit more in depth, basically using multiple websites, and explains it all in one go. I'm not, sounds like I'm recording an ad, honestly. But Google, you gotta like read separate things, and it brings you to certain websites, and you're like, damn. But then AI, it brings you the answer to you, basically. But with that being said, to the upside, like a 174.5, 175, and then all the way up to the highs of 177.5. We can break above that, look at 180 next. But honestly, I think we need Google to pump up more if we want to get to 180. To the downside, like a 173.5, 172.5, 171.5, and then that 170 flat. It normally doesn't move too much. We have been seeing it more volatile, more volume in the plays, but honestly, Google moves pretty slow naturally. But honestly, I think just wait for that Nvidia's earnings. Palantir, man, Palantir has been falling down. We have been seeing some price hikes, and then honestly, just big sell-offs. It does move a lot throughout the day, and maybe even Nvidia's earnings can save this stock. Maybe once we got to the highs of like 135, we kind of just broke below it. So honestly, man, some levels to watch for Palantir. Look at 125. We can break above that 127.5, and then that 130 level. To the downside, look at 122.2, 120 flat, and then all the way down to that 118 to that 116 level for Palantir. Next is going to be Tesla, everybody's favorite stock right now, probably because we pumped up so much. Broke above that 350 level yesterday, and honestly just held up strong, held up above VWAP, just looking strong to the upside. So next level is going to be that 370 level, 380 or 375, sorry, and then 380, and then 385 and 390. To the downside, look at 360, and then look at that 350 level. If we break below that, we're going to be looking a little bit more bearish with Tesla. But right now we're pumping up. We got some good news. So honestly, Tesla is one to have your patience with, but honestly, if it rallies, it's going to keep on rallying. But some stocks that rolls up a bunch, and I recommend watching it for some plays and some option plays, is going to be, first one is SMR, and that's the one that we talked about earlier, basically in nuclear energy. And nuclear energy stocks are basically pumping, honestly, right now with the good news, with the bills and stuff like that. And this one went up 17%. And the next one is going to be Pony. We went up 22%. It is pumping, but it's also dumping at the same time. So have your patience with this one, because you've seen it go up and then sell off and then go up again. So we're either 50-50 this one, man. We might go downwards and or we might go upwards. So I do recommend having your patience with this one. Maybe look at it at that $17 range and then buy into it, buy some shares, and then just wait for it to pump up again. But just have your patience with Pony overall. It has a strong buy, but honestly, just have your patience. This is at its high range. So if you buy in now and it goes down, and maybe you might get unlucky. You might get unlucky and it just stays at this range. And honestly, man, you'll hate your life then too. But with that being said, guys, thanks for watching the video. Smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are new. I'm very, very pumped for Nvidia's earnings. Let me know what stocks you guys are watching and subscribe. Peace out.